What's up guys, Anthony here with Empire Music, empiremusic.com. Another Fender custom shop bass here. Been a minute, haven't seen you guys for a while. Good to be back. So, came in kind of unexpectedly while I was out on vacation, but happy to see it because this is a 2022 collection. So we're just getting it now. That's how backed up they were in the Fender custom shop for a while. Starting to kind of flow through. This is a limited edition custom jazz bass. So it's, like I said, part of the 2022 collection. This one's in aged black in heavy relic, and it's a stunner. Not only look-wise, but playing-wise, it's very, very nice. Spec-wise, there's an ash body on it, quarter sawn maple neck, hand-wound vintage jazz bass pickups in there in the neck position and the bridge position, you know, front and back, whatever you want to call it. 3-knob layout, so you got volume, volume, tone. Man, just the relic on this is really, really nice, the way it kind of fades into the wood grain. Some relicing jobs look not so hot, some look great. This is one of the great ones. It's that quarter saw maple neck. It's got a, what we've been seeing a lot on these is the 60s U jazz bass neck on there. Lollipop tuners, I've said it before, love them. I think it's such a nice classy kind of look on these. And what I always think about these U necks on here is that they don't, I don't know if it's just me because I'm such a P bass player, so I get that wider nut spacing there. But with the 1.5 inches at the nut here, that U almost slopes into a C. So it feels just like a thin oval C neck on it. Really dig that. Bound fretboard on there, which always plays tricks on me because it looks wider than it feels, if that makes sense, just the way that binding's on there. And these mother of pearl block inlays on there, just a nice, really classy touch. A touch of class and a touch of roughness to it, I guess, is one way to put it with this finish. I'll kind of flip it around too. Very, very cool. So sonically, I'm always kind of up and down on jazz basses personally. It's like I love them one week and I hate them another. And that's just like you get the personal preference, because I dwell so much in P-bass territory. But it's really nice when you get one in your hands that just kind of reacts great. It has a real nice dynamic range to it. It has real nice amount of sensitivity to it. And sometimes you don't see that with real hot, at least for me in my touch, which ton of a personal inflection on there. When I get to like those really hot jazz bass pickups, it lose some of my personal playing, my personality in it. This one kind of lets it shine through. So what we did with the front piece there, and we'll kind of jump back to that full tone, volume, volume. So everything kind of wide open on that. And you kind of see what I mean there. Just even wide open, where we have this on kind of its brightest and most like in-your-face setting, I think, in a jazz bass. And again, take everything I always say is like such a, you know, I always try to convey it, but it's such a personal thing with how you approach any instrument, but in my particular case, basses. But we get that, and obviously because there's two pickups in there, you're always going to have a nice, there's going to be a pretty large difference between where you attack. But just, again, I'll do it again, and hear how that note, everything kind of sounds. So there's really a big difference in the note. I always say it, sounds like a broken record, like the bloom and the way that the note attacks and decays. I'm not changing hand pressure very much, and it's obviously changing a lot of the sound. And then when you dig in, it's even more so. Really, really cool. So nice sensitivity on that. Now we'll go to single coil in the neck. So we'll flirt with P bass, but a little brighter, a little punchier than your typical P bass. You know, obviously you hear that little bit of buzz that comes out too. We get this little more 60 cycle hum because you got a single coil pickup, not a split coil like you would in a P. Two poles. So now we have, or two coils, now one coil. So. Real barky kind of P bass thing going on there. We move our hand back. So what I'm just, again, I say this, like really we get to experience this kind of in real time because I warm up a little bit, get some specs, and even that's doubtful sometimes if I get them right. But what I noticed there is, and I notice this always with a jazz bass, and this isn't necessarily a bad thing. It might sound like it, but it's not, because it's a jazz bass. So you're buying that predominantly for this. That tone there, that typical kind of jazz bass, I was classified as like the Marcus Millery kind of thing, whether we're talking 60s or 70s. We kind of get into this P bass territory. And that barkiness, that woodiness kind of comes out. You don't have the same range that you get, even with these guards on there, we move our hand around. You always hear when I play a P bass, how different those two tones kind of sound. Where here, they're definitely different, but there's not as much difference because you have the coil that's just going straight here, where with a P, you'd have it in two different spots. So that quarter inch of movement to where those coils at has a fairly large part in how that sounds depending on where your hand's at. So always kind of word to the wise, if you're trying to fake, you can fake your way into a little bit of P bass territory with a jazz bass, but it's never going to go fully there. But you can also never get the jazz bass thing with a P bass. So neither's right or wrong. They both exist for a good reason. So we'll go neck pick or bridge pickup on this. So again, both wide open. Neck pickup. Bridge pickup. So really nice sensitive pickups, pretty typical jazz bass things. I wouldn't say there's anything outside of the norm, however, just this particular one. And if I recall correctly, the first one that we had of this might have been a violin burst that really great customer of ours bought up in Michigan. I reference him all the time, so I'll spare you his name. I remember that one being super sensitive, super dynamic, even a little more so than I typically find out of a jazz bass, with my touch, which is always personal to me and yours is personal to you. So if you dig it, if you see anything on the website, I'll put a link below if you're watching this on YouTube to our current Fender Custom Shop bass inventory. Please call me, 412-343-5299. You can email me directly. It's anthony@empiremusic.com. Do all the normal stuff. We got free shipping. We got financing options available. Might be running some promotions at the time. So feel free to reach out. Trade-ins are always welcome as well. We'll catch you next time. Another Fender Custom Shop coming your way soon.